I never imagined that loneliness could exist in the middle of so many smiling faces. When I moved to this city 3 years ago, I was full of hope, heart racing with the excitement of a fresh chapter. I had fallen in love deep, certain love with a man 15 years older than me, a man who was not only kind and grounded, but who also seemed to have built a whole world of warmth and friendship around him. At 40 years old, I didn't think I'd be starting over a new city, new home, new relationships, but there I was, holding his hand, pregnant with our first child together, stepping into a world that already existed long before I came along. And I truly believed I was being welcomed into it. My husband had a group of friends I immediately admired. 10 men, each unique in their personalities, but deeply bonded men, who had stuck together through the chaos of the 2020 pandemic and emerged with something rare, a real brotherhood. When I saw the way they laughed together, how they knew each other's quirks and stories, how they showed up for one another, it warmed something in me. These were not just casual friends, they were family. And I, the newcomer, thought I was becoming part of something special. It wasn't just the men. Their wives and partners were part of the gatherings too. I imagined friendships blossoming, group dinners, shared parenting advice, late night texts about motherhood. It all felt so promising, but from the very beginning, there was a distance I couldn't quite name. The women were never unkind. They were never openly rude, but they kept me at arm's length. Smiles that didn't quite reach their eyes, polite. Conversations that never went deeper than small talk. Invitations that never came. I noticed it, but I brushed it off. Everyone's busy, I told myself. They have full-time jobs, young children, responsibilities. Relationships take time. I gave them grace. I showed up to events with thoughtful gifts, asked about their kids, complimented their homes, listened with genuine interest. I wasn't trying to be anyone's best friend overnight. I just wanted to belong, to connect, to be seen. My husband, always cheerful and outgoing, didn't notice the subtle exclusions. Or maybe he did, but didn't want to admit it. When I mentioned feeling awkward or left out, he assured me it was in my head. "You're overthinking," he'd say, pulling me into a hug. "They like you. They just don't know you yet." And maybe he was right. Maybe I was being too sensitive. I wasn't used to feeling invisible. I'd always been able to connect with people, no matter where I lived. I'd moved across the country more than once, started fresh and unfamiliar cities, and always found my people. I had a full life before I met him, a successful career, loyal friends, a sense of independence I was proud of. I didn't need this group, but I wanted it. I wanted to feel like I was truly part of my husband's world. And then one afternoon, everything shifted. It was just a regular day. I was nursing our baby and scrolling through Facebook to pass the time. A photo popped up on my feed. One of the wives, surrounded by all the others, toasting glasses of wine at a vineyard. It was her birthday, a celebration. A group shot with smiles, hugs, and captions full of inside jokes and heart emojis. Every wife in the group was there, every single one except me. And just like that, the quiet feeling I'd been carrying for years became something undeniable. I hadn't been forgotten. I hadn't been missed. I'd been excluded. I stared at that photo for longer than I'd like to admit, my baby peacefully asleep on my chest, and I felt a hollow ache rise in my throat. It wasn't just about the event. It was the confirmation that I was never truly invited in, that no matter how many holidays I showed up for, no matter how friendly I was, no matter how hard I tried to bridge the gap, I was never going to be one of them. And I couldn't stop the questions that followed. Was it my age? My background? The fact that I didn't go to an Ivy League school? That I wasn't part of their polished, high-powered professional circles? Because while I'm proud of where I come from a hardworking blue-collar family that taught me grit and humility, I knew I was different from them. They were doctors, lawyers, executives earning $300,000 and up with picture-perfect careers and pedigrees. And while I had built my own success making six figures, leading teams, managing projects, I didn't wear the same polish. I was the first in my family to go to college. I worked my way up from the bottom. I've never forgotten what it feels like to have to count every dollar or choose between groceries and rent. Maybe they sensed that, maybe they couldn't relate, or maybe they just didn't care to try. After that post, I started pulling back, not dramatically, just quietly. I stopped volunteering to help plan group gifts. I skipped the chats in the group text. I started saying no to events without offering excuses. When the next get-together came a barbecue 2 days after that Facebook post, I told my husband I wasn't going. I expected him to understand. He didn't. Instead, he looked hurt, confused. That everyone will be there, he said. It won't be the same without you. He didn't understand that I had no energy left to pretend, that I couldn't stomach another afternoon of small talk, of being politely ignored, of feeling like I was occupying space I hadn't been invited to. He went anyway, with the baby, and I stayed home in the silence, questioning everything, not just about them, but about me. Had I done something wrong? Was I too quiet, too outspoken, not stylish enough, not interesting enough? The self-doubt crept in like a slow poison, and I hated how much power it had over me. I knew better. I knew who I was. I knew what I brought to the table. But still, I wanted to be liked. I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to stop feeling like a guest in my own life. I wish I could say I felt better after deciding not to go to that barbecue. That I sat at home with a book, lit a candle, and basked in the peace of reclaiming my time. But the truth is, I kept checking my phone. Every buzz made my stomach twist. My husband was texting me every 30 minutes. Wish you were here. Everyone's asking about you. Baby's getting fussy. You sure you don't want me to come pick you up? Each message made me feel worse, not better. It wasn't just guilt. It was grief. I wasn't grieving the barbecue. I was grieving the image I had built in my mind of belonging, of friendship, of the picture-perfect group where our kids would grow up together and we'd exchange holiday cards and host birthday parties side by side. I had wanted that dream more than I realized, and seeing it slip away left an ache that was hard to name. When my husband came home that evening, baby asleep in the car seat, he looked drained. You should have come, he said softly. I was too tired to argue. I helped him get the baby settled, and we didn't talk much after that. He wasn't angry, but he was disappointed, and that somehow felt worse. He didn't understand what I had endured emotionally, standing on the outside of those events, smiling through every uncomfortable silence, every forced laugh. He couldn't see it from where he stood, surrounded by friends who embraced him. Without question, in the days that followed, I kept turning things over in my mind. Was I being unfair to him by not participating? Was I sabotaging our shared social life by stepping back? I didn't want to become the reason he stopped going to things he enjoyed, and I certainly didn't want to isolate him from his own friendships. But I couldn't force myself into rooms where I felt invisible. I couldn't keep pretending just to keep the peace. So I did something I hadn't done before. I called an old friend from back home, someone who'd known me before the career titles, before the expectations, before the shiny suburban neighborhood. She listened without interruption as I told her everything. And when I finally stopped talking, she said something that stayed with me. Maybe you're trying to be accepted by people who don't have the capacity to appreciate you. It hit hard, because that's exactly what I'd been doing. I wasn't trying to climb some invisible ladder. I was just looking for genuine connection. I wasn't trying to outshine them or compete. I just wanted to be welcomed. And I realized then that some rooms are built with walls, not doors. Some social groups are comfortable exactly as they are, and anyone different becomes an inconvenience. After that conversation, something began to shift in me. I started thinking less about what I was missing from that group and more about what I had. My baby growing more curious by the day. My husband, who loved me, even if he didn't fully understand this part of my experience. My career, which I had built from nothing. And my friends, the real ones, even if they lived in different states, still, the conflict remained. The next event on the calendar was a birthday party, a big one, for one of the kids in the group. It was being held at a rented indoor play space with catered food, decorations, and an expected turnout of nearly everyone in their circle. My husband wanted all three of us to go. "It'll be fun," he said. "No pressure, just a kid's party." I smiled weakly and nodded, knowing the storm inside me hadn't settled yet. I debated it all week. And then, on the morning of the party, I did something I hadn't done before. I dressed up, not to impress, but to feel good. I wore a flowy summer dress I loved, put on a little makeup, and styled my hair the way I used to when I actually had time for myself. I looked in the mirror and reminded myself that my worth wasn't determined by anyone's invitation or approval. Follow and like for the next part. It'll let you know what happened next.